Class is a new young adult BBC Three series written and created by Patrick Ness, set in the universe of Doctor Who, and seems to have developed quite a bit of controversy between Doctor Who fans. So, is this series a simple Buffy rip-off as some had feared, or something genuinely special spun from a series that has descended into mediocrity over recent years? The series follows a group of sixth form students who find that Cold Hill Academy is being attacked by sinister portals through time and space. When monsters from the other side of these portals begin to attack, Charlie, April, Ram and Tanya, along with their physics teacher Miss Quill, are given the task to defeat them by a mysterious Time Lord. The one thing I have to instantly praise about Class is its cast. Every single actor gives in 110%, and despite some script problems, everyone manages to rise above them. Greg Austin plays Charlie, a new student at Cold Hill Academy, who is in fact an alien prince from another planet, and manages to juggle both an otherworldly distance from his classmates, but also a certain relatable quality needed to make the character likeable. Katherine Kelly plays his companion / prisoner Miss Quill, a criminal from Charlie's planet who delivers a decent performance, but her character can't quite decide whether she's a sharp-witted and even more arrogant Sherlock Holmes, or the series' own take on Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, making her a rather confusing character to like, or not. Vivian Oparah is surprisingly likeable as the geeky character Tanya, who manages to overcome the character stereotypes to become an entertaining and relatable protagonist in the series, and has a really nice dynamic with Ram. Played by Fady Elsayed, Ram is the cocky, supposedly cool lead of the series with an interesting arc established in the first 2 episodes. And Sophie Hopkins plays April, my personal favourite character in the series so far, the lovable sort of loner character with a darker side hinted at. While the main characters on the whole are clearly established in these first 2 episodes, I do feel that the way they're established is rather clunky, whether it be through exposition-filled dialogue or a flashback that tries to act as a quirky but also tragic backstory but ends up feeling like a cheap excuse at sympathy for its characters. Any other characters in the series aren't given any kind of introduction at all. Charlie's sort of boyfriend, Mateus, isn't given more than 2 lines of dialogue in these first 2 episodes, and you never get to see him and Charlie's dynamic, or even how the 2 of them got together in the first place. One minute Charlie wants to ask him out, next minute he has and they're going to the prom together. Speaking of which, why is there an autumn prom at Cold Hill? And why are they using blackboards exactly? Anyway, Class premiered with its opening 2 episodes last weekend, and I thought I'd take a look at each. Episode 1, titled For Tonight We Might Die, is a rather weak episode to start the series on. With a cluttered structure and no clear story to the episode, it seems more like 50 minutes of exposition dumping than an actual introduction to the series. Some of the dialogue from Patrick Ness is sharp and quick-witted, but some is tediously written like someone who never read the bit in scriptwriter training that focus on using character-revealing dialogue instead of just getting each character's unique personality traits listed off by either themselves or another character. Episode 1 does focus on its characters as real sixth form students, but there is the odd moment where you wish the episode would just slow down and get to know everyone. The threats in the episode are the Shadowkin, monsters pursuing Charlie and Miss Quill through what appears to be a crack in time, but the monsters look very much like the Pyrovar from the Fires of Pompeii with the ability of the Vashta Nerada from Silence in the Library, both Doctor Who episodes. This combined with the fact that their storyline feels so horribly underdeveloped that the only way they can be stopped is from an out-of-nowhere cameo by Peter Capaldi buzzing his sonic screwdriver at them, in easily the most anticlimactic ending I've seen in a long time. Capaldi is undoubtedly a highlight in this otherwise formulaic episode, sealing the show with quips about IKEA, media studies and an almost menacing moment reminding Miss Quill of a student she murdered. The exact circumstances between the student's murder and Quill's motivations aren't clear, but at least Capaldi manages to balance the quirky doctorness with a short beat reminding the audience why so many of his enemies fear him. I already said that April was my favourite character in the episode, and she is, even if the writing at points feels so on the nose I half expected a Dalek to pop up at the bottom of the screen shouting, "You will feel sorry for her." Regrettably, Charlie gets little more to do than spout exposition, and poor Mateus stands in the background in pretty much every shot he's in. An interesting dynamic is set up between Ram and Tanya through small Skype scenes, one of which featuring a surprise attack from the Shadowkin, ingeniously outwitted by the 2 characters. Sadly, the decision to keep the 5 leads in 2 separate groups means that Ram and Tanya's reactions to Charlie's true identity, not to mention the revelation of the Shadowkin attack, is left seemingly on the cutting room floor. Whether or not the characters know about aliens, given that they acknowledge the mysterious disappearances at Cold Hill Academy, is also left annoyingly unclear. If For Tonight We Might Die was more focused on being a slow burner character introduction, I wouldn't mind the lack of plot to it, but regrettably the choppy editing and poor structure causes the episode to feel both frantic and dull at the same time at many points. The episode does, however, have genuine consequences for the characters involved, in a nice turn from Doctor Who. Ram loses his leg in a fight with the Shadowkin and witnesses his girlfriend's brutal murder, while April is left sharing her heart with the Shadowkin leader, and you do get the impression that a deep friendship is beginning between all of the main characters. So, yeah, For Tonight We Might Die is a really mixed episode with both pros and cons. With an excellent cast though, an interesting style and strong production values, the episode suffers from a poor structure and pace, weak villains and contrived and often clunky dialogue, earning Class's first episode a 5 out of 10. Episode 2, titled The Coach with the Dragon Tattoo, is a slightly better episode with a stronger narrative, continuing episode 1's character arcs and with a much clearer goal. Having the PE coach as the villain seems a somewhat ingenious decision. All we need now is a menacing maths teacher, even if the inclusion of actual dragons in the episode feels a little bit bizarre in the Doctor Who universe. The characters mention the lack of explanation for the dragons towards the end of the episode, almost in some sort of self-aware joke, but it delivers a strange sense of irony that episode 2 lacks exposition after episode 1 had far too much. This episode really was Fady Elsayed's time to shine through a strong arc about his coping, or put simply not coping, after losing both his girlfriend and his leg. Thus, when the episode poses the question as to whether the skin-peeling dragon is a result of PTSD, it brings to light the trauma Ram has had to go through in such little time. Such a character journey is not easily achieved in Doctor Who, but Class explores this with both maturity and understanding. Regrettably, the Monster of the Week plot feels incredibly cliched, especially with a rather poorly realised CGI dragon, and the Miss Quill subplot that starts off as a funny side story, but ends with a giant "this will be important later" label that just left me frustrated and annoyed. Both Charlie and April seem to be pushed to the side of this episode, and the way the directors handled some of the gory moments felt a little too almost censored for my liking. The episode also had some very bizarre edits, especially in the scene where the headmaster, the only Coal Hill character who actually appeared in Doctor Who, is killed by the dragon. The way it cuts between him about to see the dragon to he's already seen the dragon he's trying to protect the students to now he's dead is a little bit jarring. There are some very clever ideas in here, and it did remind me of an early episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but The Coach with the Dragon Tattoo is a stronger episode over its predecessor, even if it is an admittedly less enjoyable one. With excellent performances, the standout being Fady Elsayed, good direction, interesting ideas, story and monster, but with a very formulaic plot and a sloppy structure, the episode is a bit all over the place in terms of tone and focus at points. The Coach with the Dragon Tattoo gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Other things to note about the series as a whole include its synth score from Blair Mowat, which incorporates elements of Doctor Who's soundtrack to add a sense of musical continuity, but otherwise doesn't really do much to stick out. The title sequence reminds me very much of a more colourful and just cluttered version of the opening to Orphan Black, albeit with far too much going on in the sequence, as there pretty much is in the first episode, and a kinda awful main theme. The production quality on the whole is excellent for a low-budget BBC 3 series, despite some rubbish-looking monsters, and it does create its own unique identity well. The direction and cinematography is actually pretty stylish at points, with some superb camera work throughout. Overall though, Class is off to a slightly shaky start with 2 rather average instalments. The potential is all there for the series to go to some exciting places, and thankfully the cast are so likeable, I'm well up for watching more of them in the coming 6 episodes. So yeah, thank you for watching this review, and I'll see you all next week in my review of Class's 3rd episode, Night Visiting.